over the world. Candice Jeanette Metzger is a graphic designer for Hasbro Toys. Both daughters never forgot their Northeast LA roots and teach classes at the center.
We just want to help our community and bring arts to everybody. People who can afford it, people who cannot afford it. We really want everybody to have access.
My mom really set an example early on about how important it is to participate, and I feel like it just makes the experiences better for everyone.
The folks at Center for the Arts Eagle Rock say fundraisers like these are crucial in keeping some of its important programs going. They include free after-school programs, concerts, and exhibitions.
We provide free arts programming to children in Title I schools, and so with the community being invested in our work, it gives us the opportunity to serve more children. And the next Linda Johnstone Allen, the next Miss Mindy, the next CJ Metzger.
Drawing inspiration for the next generation of Northeast LA artists.
For more info on Center for the Arts Eagle Rock, its programs and donations, log on to cfaer.org. Over in Hollywood, another kind of art took center stage. Felix LA is described as contemporary, experimental, and organic, and it was all on display in bungalows and private suites at the iconic Roosevelt Hotel.
Felix LA is the inaugural edition of an art fair, and it's a throwback to the hotel fairs that were done in the 90s. So we have 38 exhibitors, and we've taken over the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel. The poolside cabanas are all exhibitor booths, and the 11th floor tower, which is filled with about 20 rooms of galleries presenting the artworks. We have a broad range of galleries that are here exhibiting during this LA Art Week that's happening at the moment. So today we open the show, and we're expecting a good crowd to come through. People brought a lot of good quality to this fair, and we're really excited about it.
Think you know Griffith Park? Well, think again. Beyond the picturesque hiking trails and the iconic movie scenes are decades of hidden histories. As Gil Reyes reports, the Autry Museum attempts to uncover them in a new exhibit.
Now, even longtime visitors to Griffith Park who visited this urban oasis dozens of times will no doubt pick up a few new tidbits of information just by visiting this fascinating new exhibit, Investigating Griffith Park. But you know what? The exhibit is not quite finished yet. That's where you come in.
We are embarking on a multi-year, multi-phase project in which we will create an exhibition with the help of our neighbors, the citizens of Los Angeles, tourists from around the world.
The Autry Museum's Sarah Wilson wants to know, which Griffith Park histories and mysteries do you want uncovered? The museum is now accepting your written ideas for its new but unfinished exhibit, Investigating Griffith Park. Here are some early suggestions.
There is a lot of fascination with the old zoo. A lot of people walk by it, they hike to it, but the story of the old zoo, who started it, why it closed, is a mystery to some people. Some people think it's haunted.
You'll find suggestion stations with pencil and paper placed throughout the exhibit. Another popular recommendation, uncovering Griffith Park's ancient Tongva villages.
The more you dig, the more you kind of excavate all these layers of a rich past.
Curator Carolyn Brucken takes us on a tour of what the Griffith Park exhibit offers so far.
Before the Autry Museum, most people don't realize what was on this site was a World War II veterans housing village. And so this is what we see, some of the pictures from the Roger Young Village that was built in 1947, housed over 6,000 people at one point as a response to the need for emergency housing for veterans returning from World War II.
How long did this go on?
Between about 1947 to about 1954.
See, I would have never, I've been to Griffith Park hundreds of times, I've never would have known that.
Because there's nothing left except for maybe one Quonset hut that we think is the one used by the Trails Cafe. And then before Roger Young Village, there was actually a National Guard airfield on this site. And there were hangars that were leased by people who were at the beginning of the aerospace industry in California.
You're saying that planes took off from here?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
And so there's like just this one spot, and then before that it was a Mexican rancho, and before that it had ancestral villages from Tongva people.
And you thought Griffith Park was just hiking trails and the observatory. So many stories told and waiting to be told at the Autry Museum of the American West. That's at 4700 Western Heritage Way, across from the LA Zoo entrance in beautiful and mysterious Griffith Park.
The Investigating Griffith Park exhibit is expected to be completed in 2021. Until then, the museum is inviting you to stop by, offer suggestions, and maybe learn a thing or two. Local leaders urge the city to preserve LA's trees. Need some free tax prep? A city program may be able to help. And ever thought about collecting and recycling rainwater? Well, it's easy, and the city can help. All this in City Beat. Need help with your taxes but can't really afford a professional? Mayor Eric Garcetti has launched the Free Tax Prep LA campaign aimed at helping low to moderate income households get the tax credits and refunds they are entitled to. For more, visit freetaxprepla.com. The impact of climate change is now being felt by the very trees lining our streets. Shockingly, up to 30% of LA's green canopy is in danger of being lost within the next decade if immediate action is not taken. LA Controller Ron Galperin and Councilman Bob Blumenfield stress the importance of getting ahead of the problem now.
These trees are our lungs. They clean the air for us.
They are the ultimate infrastructure when you think about it.
Councilwoman Monica Rodriguez sponsored the annual Rain Collection Barrel Giveaway in Pacoima. Since the program's inception 5 years ago, over 1,500 barrels have been distributed, saving countless gallons of water that would otherwise be wasted. These days, bullying in school is a serious issue many kids and parents face. That's why the Harlem Globetrotters and the LAPD are using their hoop skills to encourage kids to stand up and speak out.
The Globetrotters, we're known as the ambassadors of goodwill. So we go into a community, it's not just about basketball, it's also about having a positive impact. And we found that the number one complaint students have in school today is that there's too much bullying. And so we want to do our part to help with that.
Do you guys think that the number one problem students face is too much pizza? Do you think that the number one problem students face is too much recess? The number one problem that students face today in schools is bullying.
A lot of our students feel bullied. And for them to be able to have a voice and a mechanism to identify it and to address it is important.
Are we going to team up against bullying?
Today we are partnered up with the Harlem Globetrotters. We want to make sure that, the next generation isn't afraid to connect with the police and, let them know that we are here for them.
You okay, man? No, somebody bully you?
Yes.
Why you bullying him? He a nice guy. Don't. I'm messing with you. Can I be your friend?
Yes.
Put Anthony down.
We give the message that everyone in the school, staff, teachers, and students are all one team, and that helps the kids to look out for each other and really support each other.
Not allowing someone to play a sport because of the color of their skin or because of their gender is a form of bullying.
We can come together as a community to really solve the issues that surround our youth.
It's a platform where films by Asians and Pacific Islanders can be showcased and promoted at USC. It's also an opportunity to inspire other up-and-coming filmmakers. Check it out.
I see now why they gave me ribbons of shame. Because I was beginning to think like American.
Ha! Hey, don't flatter yourself, Ace.
It's true. Everybody in this country thinks they are
special?
It's the second annual USC Asian Pacific Film Festival. We host here both a panel of industry professionals brought in by very famous Asian American representatives, as well as a screening of student and alumni films. A lot of the problem with student organizations and student filmmaking now is that there's no avenue to really screen them or any way to present them. So in order to have this film festival, it gives them a place to sort of elaborate on their art, demonstrate their work, as well as connect with industry networks.
We have invited API actors and filmmakers from the film industry to come here and speak today on a panel, but they're also our jury members.
Come on! No, we fight to death.
This platform is super important to any, Asian American, Pacific Islander who just wants to get their stories told, who wants to showcase their talent. And more importantly, it's just giving legitimacy to these films. USC is a great community to have. And I would never have thought that a film that I shot in India, wrote in Singapore, would have been finished in America. So I think we're really living in a time where it's global, and I'm just excited to, make work with these talented people here.
Electronic music artist Moby is honored. Check out some wacky art at a new exhibit and help clean up the environment during a beach day cleanup. All this and things to do. You're invited to the 2019 Adopt the Arts Sound and Vision Award Benefit Gala. This year, EDM artist Moby is recognized by the Los Angeles-based charity for his work as a musician, artist, and activist. Don't miss the party as Adopt the Arts honors Moby on Thursday, March 7th at 7 p.m. The gala will take place at the Wiltern Theater on 3790 Wilshire Boulevard. For more information, visit adoptthearts.org. La Luz de Jesus Gallery proudly presents the 33rd annual La Luzapalooza, showcasing established and undiscovered artists. The gigantic no-theme group art show features carefully handpicked works from thousands of submissions. Get a load of what's happening in the local art scene at La Luzapalooza, beginning March 1st at 4633 Hollywood Boulevard. For details, visit laluzdejesus.com. The first of the month means it's time for beach cleanup at Cabrillo Marine Aquarium. Join aquarium staff and volunteers in clearing the shore of marine debris. Help put the environment first at the Cabrillo Marine Aquarium Beach Cleanup, Saturday, March 2nd. The aquarium is located at 3720 Stephen M. White Drive. You can register to help by calling 310-548-7562. And that's a look at some things to do. Well, that's it for this edition. I'm Yana Kay. From all of us here at LA This Week, thanks for joining us. A reminder that you can catch us online at lacityview.org. We're also on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. See you next time for more of LA This Week.
Hola, soy Marisol, desde Canoga Park, la ciudad toda americana. Estás viendo LA City View, Canal 35, nuestra ciudad, nuestro canal.
Madam Clerk, we have a quorum. Can you please call the roll?
Blumenfield, Bonin, Buscaino, Cedillo, Harris Dawson, Weiser, Koretz, Krikorian, Martinez, O'Farrell, Price, Rodriguez, Rue, Smith, Wesson. 10 members present and a quorum, Madam President.
Okay, first order of business.
Approval of the minutes.
Ms. Rodriguez moves and Mr. Rue seconds. Next. It is. I turned it on. Yeah. It's on. Mine is on. It's on.
Yes. Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Okay, Mr. Weezer moves and Mr. Bloomfield seconds. Members, please direct your attention to the agenda, Madam Clerk. Let's run through the agenda, please.
Madam President, item 1A through J is an item notice for public hearing.
Okay. Do we have cards on those items?
Yes, there are cards on that item.
Let's go ahead and hold those. What's next?
Yeah. Item 2 special, please.
Yeah, we're on.
Okay,
That's
all right.
And then, Madam President, items 2 through 32 are items for which public hearings have been held. The Housing Committee reports for items 29, 30, 31, and 32 have been submitted, posted, and circulated for Council's consideration, and there was a request to hold item 2.
Okay, let's hold item 2 for Mr. O'Farrell. Any other specials, members? Go ahead and vote on the remaining items. Let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the votes.
10 ayes.
Okay. What's next?
Items 33 through 39 are items for which a public hearing has not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration.
Because those items are not before us. Madam Clerk, are there any cards on any of the items?
There are cards on items 34, 38, and 39. That leaves items 33, 35, 36, and 37 for a vote.
All right, let's go ahead and vote on the remaining items. Let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the votes.
10 ayes.
What's next?
Madam President, if I
Mr. Evans, yeah.
if I may make one announcement. So in item 38, which we're holding because it's cards, in the environmental impact report that was transmitted by the Department of Sanitation on February 22nd, in the project description in the third paragraph, part of it reads, it's a paragraph that begins, food or beverage facilities that violate the ordinance will be given a written warning for the first violation and monetary fines for second and subsequent violations. Paralleling this proposed ordinance, it should say third and subsequent violations. So,
Okay, so that's a technical amendment.
yes, so please, when you're voting on that, it'll be with that change.
Very well. Okay, Ms. Rodriguez?
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to send 5 and 7 forthwith, please.
5 and 7, forthwith with Ms. Rodriguez.
Thank you.
What's next, Madam Clerk?
My mind was super high.
That takes council to item 40, which is a closed session item. Would you like to leave it on the desk?
Yes, so go ahead. Let's go ahead and wait for Mr. Krikorian, so we're going to hold that one on the desk as well. Okay. Item 40.
And Madam President, that takes council back to presentations, items called special or general public comment.
Okay, let's go ahead and do our presentation, Mr. Smith.
No, there's no volume. Hello, test, there it works. It was off.
Good morning, everyone. Colleagues, congratulations very much to all the women that are here this morning. Colleagues, today marks the beginning of Women's History Month, where I'm looking forward to honoring and recognizing the many accomplishments of women in Los Angeles and across this country. 2018 was lauded as the year of the woman, and indeed we reached new records and heights in political representation for women. In 2019, I expect us to expand and grow upon our achievements of last year, from building new leaders in our communities to working to expand legislation and programs to empower and support women across this country. One of the great things about Los Angeles is its diversity. And here in Council Chamber, we're sure to honor diversity every day. Week to week, we celebrate the different cultures and communities, and we celebrate holidays and history, and we also celebrate women. Today, I want to take the opportunity to talk about the achievements of Latinas and recognizing an organization that for 30 years has been making a difference for Latinas across this state. HOPE, Hispanas Organized for Political Equality, works to ensure political and economic parity for Latinas throughout leadership, advocacy, and education. For 30 years, HOPE has focused on empowering our communities through advocacy, Latina leadership training, and increasing knowledge on the contributions of Latinas have made to advance the status of women. To date, HOPE innovative programming for high school students and college students and professionals has served 60,000 Latinas statewide and touched the lives of several thousands more. I am proud to say that I went through their leadership program back in 2000, which makes me kind of old already, but. The goal is to engage Latinas in all phases of their lives and to encourage them to take an active role in advocating for their community, to help women find their voices and empower them to lead and have a strong sense of support. Next week, HOPE is bringing nearly 1,000 women for their annual Latina History Day conference. This year's theme is Bold Innovators, and it will highlight the innovative contributions of Latinas that have made historical differences in their communities and continue to strive. There's nothing more uplifting than seeing 1,000 Latinas celebrating one another and encouraging one another to be bold and innovative. Get us working together and watch out, anything is possible. You can expect us to adapt to any situation and be survivors. It's in our natural genes, correct, ladies? Yeah, put us anywhere and we'll figure it out. Just look at the Latinas in your lives and you'll be able to see that their stories are one of resilience and innovation, and they will tell you exactly how they got there and what they plan to do next. On behalf of the City of Los Angeles, I'd like to congratulate HOPE on your 30-year anniversary of serving women in our great city. I want to present you with a resolution. Thank you, my beautiful staff. I was going to say model, but no. Congratulations on 30 years of your organization's success to Latinas and women across our city. So I present it to you. Checked all the boxes on social media. Thank you very much. I also want to introduce the two co-chairs of this year's conference, Amy Vizcarra, who's Vice President of Wells Fargo, and Rosie Arroyo, who's also the HOPE's board chair. I want them to say a few words. Amy, you want to go first? Sure.
Good morning, and thank you for having us today. My name is Amy Vizcarra, and I'm a local district manager for Wells Fargo. It's a great honor to serve as the conference co-chair of the 28th Annual Latina History Day Conference. As this year marks the 30th anniversary of HOPE, that means that for 30 years we have celebrated the contributions Latinas have made to the city, state, and nation. As a special thank you to Councilwoman Nury Martinez and the HLA alumni from class of 2000 for her continued support of HOPE and being a mentor to so many Latinas. The proclamation of Latina History Day during our Women's History Month represents the important role Latinas play in the American society. Latinas History Day celebrates contemporary Latinas who are building the foundation for future generations. This year's keynote speakers include ESPN reporter Marley Rivera, renowned digital influencer Daisy Perkins, and entrepreneurial powerhouse Nelly Galan. Latina History Day will be on Friday, March 8th, and will be over 1,000 participants in attendance. I would like to personally invite all council members to join us and celebrate the Latinas' contribution at the Belmont. At the Billmore.
There's a Belmont too. That's fun. Thank you. I'd like to also introduce Rosie Arroyo, who's the HOPE's board chair and also the co-chair of the conference, right? Yes. You are now. Come on.
Thank you, Councilwoman Nury Martinez. And good morning. My name is Rosie Arroyo. I'm a senior program officer at the California Community Foundation, where I have the pleasure and honor to oversee our immigration portfolio. As a proud alum alumni of the Hope Leadership Institute in 2007, I have personally benefited from Hope in its civic engagement trainings, supporting my efforts as an immigrant rights and education advocate. We know that in LA, there are over 185 Los Angeles HLI alumni, many who have chosen to run for office, and we are so proud to have one serve here on this very council, as well as in the State Assembly and the State Senate. And also just want to say that, you know, some of the alumni are small business owners that are creating jobs and bringing businesses to Los Angeles. We know based on our research that Latina entrepreneurs are the economic engine to our region and our state. And so on behalf of Hope, thank you for helping us celebrate our 30th anniversary. And I also just want to take a moment to acknowledge our parent leaders that are here joining us today in support from Crystal Stairs, their Community Voices program, who are also just doing an amazing job and are an example of the leadership in the community. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. President and colleagues. I stand corrected. Ana Guerrero, the Chief of Staff to Mayor Garcetti, is the chair this year of the conference. So sorry I gave you a promotion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Martinez, and congratulations to all of you. Mr. Harris Dawson, I believe you have an announcement to make.
I did these in case you need them. Thanks.
Mr. Harris Dawson, you have an announcement?
Got to get in the shot. You got to keep coming till you're on TV. All right, thank you so much, Mr. Chair. Colleagues, today we have a very special visit from members of Crystal Stairs and Community Voices. They are standing with me here today. Let's give them a big round of applause. Crystal Stairs is one of the largest nonprofit child care and child development corporations in the state of California. It is a legacy organization, an institution founded by two African American women committed to high levels of excellence as service providers and employers. It was incorporated in 1980 to provide service, research, and advocacy in the fields of child care, child development, and family well-being. They serve South Los Angeles, Compton, Inglewood, Hawthorne, Gardena, Lawndale, Long Beach, and the surrounding areas. Crystal Stairs created the Community Voices Initiative and partnered with Pathways LA to provide opportunities for parents and providers to develop leadership skills and serve as citizen lobbyists advocating for the community's children. Oftentimes in policy fights, and those of you who've been in Sacramento know that you'll be having a policy debate and the most important character in the struggle doesn't have a representative. Oftentimes that is the case with children, with parents, with child care providers, and so Crystal Stairs, through Community Voices, set out to address that. So they visit on a regular basis their local and state legislators and their federal legislator. They happen to have as their former executive director our own state senator Holly Mitchell, so they can get a pass when they go to Sacramento, and they can get a good reception. And they're visiting us here in Los Angeles City Hall. And so we want to welcome them and thank them for their work. And I believe you all have a speaker. Come on up. To represent the work. Let's give them a big round of applause.
Thank you, Councilman Harris Dawson. The Community Voices program is founded on three core principles: to educate, to empower, and to advocate. Really, we're here today to do all three. We educate our members on the process of government, how to engage with their elected officials. We empower them through showing them how to, seek opportunities to better their communities. And we advocate, like we are going to do later this afternoon, letting our city council members know some of the challenges we face in our communities and how we think they may be able to support the children of Los Angeles. So we're extremely appreciative of Councilman Harris Dawson for hosting us today. And we look forward, we're pleased to see that the city is noticing some of the efforts at the state level to increase investments in early care and education and child care programs. And we look forward to working with the city to expand those services here to our neediest children.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Harris Dawson. We have one speaker on the queue, Ms. Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Harris Dawson, thank you so much for bringing in this beautiful presentation. I was just admiring the young lady over here who is really, you know, she represents the most critical population that often, as you mentioned, does not have a seat at the table. And thank you so much for your advocacy in this space. I know what an important one it is. I was introduced to Crystal Stairs, gosh, I think about 15 or so years ago, and was just really inspired by the work and the legacy. And of course, Holly was such an outstanding leader in that conversation. But thank you so much, because the diversity in this conversation is an important one. So many communities of color don't have the access to childcare that we desperately need to make sure that our kids have a strong start. So just appreciate having you all here today. And again, I was just like, she looks like she's just the leader in training right here, and it's great. And I'm so glad that she's here in Chambers with us today. Thank you.
Excellent.
So
thank
much.
you so much, and thank you, members. One more time for Crystal Stairs and Community Voices.
She's so cute. Look at her. She was so cute. Oh yeah. We got 10. We got 10.
Okay, members, let's go ahead and vote on reconsideration on the ordinance, items 33, 35, and 36. Let's go ahead and open the roll. Close the roll and tabulate the votes.
13 ayes.
Those items are now before us. Let's go ahead and open the roll. Close the roll and tabulate the votes.
13 ayes.
Let's go ahead and move on to multiple card speakers. Mr. Previn? Mr. Previn, are you here? Mr. Previn, you're going to speak on items 2, 34, 38, 39, and items 40. Go ahead.
Thank you. It's Eric Previn, also number 1, as you know. The public hearings are back on for lien items, and D and H, there are people who signed up. They were a little confused. I tried to help them. It was interesting because there were some paper agendas. It was helpful. I'd like to move forward with a note from the city clerk or the city attorney saying that they'll be here at every meeting, not just when I come in. Thank you. Now, the HHH outline looks terrific. I didn't see in this particular documentation the mayor's plan to skim off $120 million for a pilot program, Project Red. We're excited about it. He's going to, fuzzy up some of the rules to get some things done, and I think Bloomfield is looking forward to that in various districts. Unfortunately, and I feel badly because there's going to be a parcel component coming up for the LAUSD, and Mr. Caputo Pearl and
So Mr. Previn, I don't understand what item you're on. Would you please get an agenda item?
Yeah, you're disrupting me a little bit, sir. But the permit, is the permit for mobile grooming, where Caress is going to get people who are doing, independent work as groomers, going to be on the agenda today, or has it been pulled?
No, no, Mr. Previn, just get on the items you signed up on.
It's very hard. There are a number of. There's one item that's very specifically in my district, not in my district, actually it's in David Rue's section of town, where Riverside and Coldwater are going to be experiencing a lighting district. And so I asked the folks of that area to look at that's on the agenda, sir, I signed up for it. Yeah, Riverside and Coldwater, have a quick look. And please stop interrupting me, it's very frustrating. I mean, I cannot participate when you do that. I get rattled, as you know, okay? Now, you mentioned that the EIR for the straw request ordinance this, where people are going to be participating in not using these things, but if we catch them, evidently, you mentioned that there's a warning initially, and then what were the fine numbers? Because you didn't read them into the record, and if they've changed, I think it's appropriate that the public at least hear what the second and third penalty would be. I think that's appropriate. Thanks for the pothole blitz, Councilmember Martinez. I think that it's an interesting area, but by not using my LA 311, it raises questions about who gets the benefit of the 250 grand in pothole repairs. Is it just people who are earmarked quietly? And by the way, if Michael Nagel, the city attorney, could report back finally, because he's been asked multiple times about the preferential parking districts and the inclusion thereof employees who are willing to pay for the placard. Fair enough. Now, rounding the corner to public safety, I would just request that the CD7 chair, Monica Rodriguez, hold the public safety meeting at a time when folks can be available. There are numerous interesting gifts that we're receiving for high density shelving for a motorhome. We're getting a motorhome for 50 grand it's valued at, and yet nobody was able to come down on that day because there's a new time. It's very hard.
Thank
General
you, Mr.
public
Previn.
comment?
You've got your 1 minute of general public comment.
Okay, thanks. So the general public comment is just going to have to be specific and clear, and I apologize, but we need a note from the clerk that they're going to be putting paper meeting agendas back in the hall. We made a presentation to the Metro Board yesterday, and Mayor Garcetti heard it loud and clear. So if not, we'll just have to see what happens, but I think it's appropriate. The city clerk is not above the law, and this is, a quasi-legal area, but you haven't been doing great, as Andrew Westall knows, in the open government category. So I just think by pulling paper meeting agendas from a big city meeting, it sends a very strong signal that you don't want people to participate. So with that, I would just ask that the mayor make it clear to the clerk, because the clerk apparently thinks it's okay, which is very, very strange. Finally, we are voting in the Studio City Neighborhood Council coming up. And it's in May, but we're going to have our candidates sign up in the last few days. And we reached out quite specifically to get help to make it cleaner and opener and more accessible. And it was not granted, but we still want people to participate, and it's very frustrating.
Thank you, Mr. Previn. Ryan Farsi, are you here? You've got, let me just remind you the items you signed up to speak on. Items 1B, 1C, 1D, 1E, 1F through J, items number 33, 34, 35, 36 through 39. Go ahead.
Thank you, honorable council members, for letting me speak this morning. I'm speaking on items 1, 2, 34, 38, 39, and 40. Item number 1 is about the liens again. Let's go over those liens together. I'm in the process of trying to get liened by my community, even though I'm the only one that actually follows the guidelines of the CCNR. So let's go over these liens. Lien number A is for 9111 South Pedro Street. B is 20301 West Belthar Street. This continues. These are minimal amounts. About all of them are just under $6,000. Again, the city is obligated to place these liens on us to collect money for the debts that they're also issuing on our backs. They're all kind of related. Number 2 is about energy and climate change. So you guys are adding a regulation to add disposable straws. Disposable plastic straws. Plastic, as you know, is not supposed to be used to go in the ocean. It's a contaminant. And so you guys are presenting this ordinance, and you have no financial whereabouts as to what it means for the businesses or the consumer. What about society? The fact that you're actually enabling disposable plastic, so it's going to actually make it more difficult when they go out into the ocean. So let's go to number 34 now. It's in the back. So this is communication for review of street lighting and ordinance of intention of first consideration relative to establishing a hearing date for the maintenance of Riverside Drive and Coldwater Canyon, number 1 district lighting district. So, as you should know, the city is a very big city. It's got quite quite a heavy population, good density everywhere, right, City Attorney? And so you have this street lighting everywhere that's coming and going, and Coldwater probably is one of those streets that has a lot of problem with the rain and the wear and tear over the years. So again, the question I have for the city is that they have a lot of these liens, but still they have not answered my question in regards to financial responsibility. The city clerk pawned me off to the controller, that's an elected official, to answer my questions when I asked about the debts that was placed on our backs in the years 2016 and 17. So it's all related to these liens. So I'm going to give my 1 minute for my comment now.
Okay, hold on for just a second. Give him his 1 minute of general public comment.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm here to talk about some of the design flaws in the state of California, and also to ask for Governor Newsom for pardon for my association attorneys and the association board of directors, Mr. Elliott and Mr. Gage, and their attorneys, Berding and Weil and Iger Wankowski. So the reason I'm asking for their pardon is because they've made some mistakes in moving our common area, and I'm not interested in suing myself. I'm a member of the association. Last night I discovered that the Ford factory that was built next to us, was always there when they built our community, is leaking. And the leaking is pretty excessive. I actually know the community that they built over there, some families that have miscarriages and things like that. So I'm here to get the misdirected attorneys of mine to actually follow the direction and protect us from what's happening, which is the chemical imbalance that's coming our way, thanks to the Ford Motor Aeronautical factory, which we didn't place there, but California approved to put residents.
Thank you very much. Okay, members, let's move on to items 34. Let's go ahead and open the roll. Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Let's go ahead and close the multiple speaker cards. Mr. O'Farrell, are you ready for items number 2 and 38?
Thank you, Madam President. Colleagues, what is before us is a plastic straws on request ordinance that was approved unanimously in the Climate Change, Energy, and Environmental Justice Committee last week, chaired by you, Madam President. And what the city ordinance does is it goes further than the state ordinance, which is now in place. The state ordinance exempts fast food restaurants. The city ordinance does not. It is still a plastic straws upon request ordinance. However, it doesn't exclude fast food restaurants nor fast food orders through fast food windows. For the better part of a year, my office has worked very closely with the Restaurant Association, McDonald's Corporation, environmental community, the disability community, our own Bureau of Sanitation, to hammer out a very reasonable and fair approach to how we address a major environmental calamity that is unfolding before us. It's not a future problem, it is a current problem. Plastic straws are one of every 10 items found on the beach at cleanups. We know that by 2050, if we don't act now, plastic in the oceans will outnumber fish in the world's oceans. We know that there are several floating gyres in the Pacific Ocean, the size of the state of Alaska. Although straws are a small part of the 8 million metric tons of plastic that end up in our ocean every year, we know that it is one thing that we can have really great control over, both with a personal choice and to effectuate a policy that will help highlight the plight of our world's oceans and the danger and the threat that the environment faces from plastic straw waste. Over the past 50 years, society has been conditioned to believe that plastics and the use of plastics have no consequence. Well, they definitely do, as some of the issues that I just mentioned. And many people have seen the very disturbing video of the sea turtle with a plastic straw wedged up its nostril and the surgery that was required to remove that. Imagine the countless incidents like that we never ever see, that never make the light of day. I would argue that this is one of the great examples of thinking globally and acting locally, and we can make a difference at what kind of environment, what kind of planet we leave to future generations. In Los Angeles, the city population of around 4 million, we have the bandwidth, the wherewithal to effectuate better and more innovative manufacturing practices that could result in biodegradable straws and plastic stirrers that are used at bars. And I think that's exactly what we'll do with this ordinance. We're awaiting a report. As I mentioned, we've been working with sanitation and the Department on Disability. We're awaiting a report that will come back to your committee, Madam President, that will take a look at phasing out plastic straws entirely by the year 2021. This is very important. It's reasonable because within a couple of years, any restaurant or food service place will have plenty of time to exhaust any sort of inventory of plastic straws they currently have. It'll put everyone in the business of helping to restore the environment. And a lot of institutions, a lot of restaurants and places of business have already gone to biodegradable or paper straws, which is all that we ever had when I was a very young child. As I mentioned, it's been about the last 50 years that plastic has been so indelible in all of our lives, and we see the environmental degradation that has brought. I really want to thank Shelley Luce of Hilda Bay, the CEO of Hilda Bay, Surfrider LA, Maria Gasca of Five Gyres, and many, many others who have been part of this conversation. And colleagues, as a coastal city to the Pacific Ocean, I feel that it will be very important to phase out plastic straws entirely, and we can do that within a couple of years. And let this be something that brings larger attention to the issue in terms of the plastics that end up in the oceans. But again, we can all act locally. We can take some personal responsibility with minimal disruption or inconvenience. So colleagues, I ask for an aye vote, and I look for that report from sanitation where we'll explore phasing out plastic straws entirely by the year 2021. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. O'Farrell. Let's go ahead and vote on items 2 and 38. Let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Congratulations, Mr. O'Farrell. Those items pass. Urgent forthwith. When it requires a vote, let's go ahead and vote on the urgent forthwith request from Mr. O'Farrell. Let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Mr. City Attorney, let's go ahead and go to item number 40.
Yes.
You had made a technical amendment on this item, correct? Oh, 38. Sorry about that.
So I believe that this item can be dealt with, voted on in open session.
Mr. Kokorian, do you want to speak on 40?
President, item 40 was considered by Budget and Finance, which recommends approval of the City Attorney's recommendations. Unless there's questions or concerns, that can be done in open session.
Thank you. Let's go ahead and that item is now before us. Item number 40. Let's open the roll.
Hang on, let me make the announcement. So
do you want to make the announcement? Go ahead.
The motion, recommended motion, is to reject the plaintiff's offer of settlement.
Let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Thank you. Mr. Smith, can you?
Madam Clerk, we're on item 39.
Okay. Mr. President, thank you. I'd like to speak on this item. Members, 3 years ago, we were preparing for the El Nido storms that really never materialized. But after this incredible winter that we've had this year, I think we can be very, very grateful that we've had a good winter and we've had a lot of water. And I think already in June, we've already been able to we already received almost 12 months worth of rain only in the month of January. And the reason I have this item before us is that I'm asking that we transfer at least $250,000 for Measure M to immediately start taking care of some of these pothole issues throughout the city. As you can tell by driving around our city, not only do you see these potholes, but they're becoming more and more apparent that we just can't seem to keep up with the repair as soon as possible. I remember when I sat on the budget committee, the amount of lawsuits that we had to settle as a result because we can't seem to repair our infrastructure fast enough. And so this proposal is to be able to use some of this local return money from Measure M to immediately begin a pothole blitz that would cover at least 4 weekends starting March 9th to begin to identify potholes throughout our city and get the Bureau of Street Services to begin repair on these potholes. I also want to thank Mr. Harris Dawson for being my co-sponsor on this item. I know you and I have talked about, we rely so much on the 311 app, and that's a good thing that we do that, but so many of our communities are not savvy enough to be able to use that app. So we need to be aggressive and make sure that our staff is out there identifying some of the potholes and then immediately start to repair them. So I ask for your aye vote on this item. Thank you.
Bring on the blitz.
Okay, see no speakers on the queue. Will the clerk call the roll? Oh, excuse me. Ready to vote? Open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That passes. That'll take us back to item number 1. We have cards on item number 1. Mr. Charles Ashley. When you're ready, Mr. Ashley.
Good morning, City Council members. We are here for proposed lien against our property, our home, where we lived for the last 29 years. I've already been to court on this, and Judge Martinez put me on diversion to May the 2nd. I fill out the papers and turn them into the city financial office that it is our residence where we've lived for the last 29 years. We don't have the pictures to show that most of these complaints are erroneous, and it's 3 years old. And me and my wife we're retired, so we don't have no $2,500 to give nobody for an erroneous report.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ashley. Ms. Ashley, did you also wish to speak? You're on the speaker queue.
He's gonna speak for me.
9156 with building and safety ever since 2016.
Yeah.
I've met with my
If you folks
city.
would be so kind to speak to Mr. Harris Dawson's staff, he will assist you on this. All right, Mr. Harris Dawson, you want us to extend this for 30 days on this one item? If there's no objection, that'd be the order. Okay, and Victoria Samuels on item 1D.
Good morning. I'm here for the interested party, the Bank of America. Can you let me know if anyone else is here? Is the homeowner here?
There's no other speakers but you.
Okay. Well, I just asked for an extension to get the matter cleared up.
Do you know which district you're in?
No, I don't.
You're in, where?
I don't know what district
Okay,
it's in.
Council District 15 is not here today. Is a member of his staff here? If you could meet with the lady over here from Mr. Busquiano's district, will assist you.
Thank you.
And for general public comment, Eden Enamorado.
Hello, my name is Eden Enamorado. This is more like of an announcement. I am from the William C. Velasquez Institute, and we are a part of the LA River Revitalization Project, and we're doing community outreach in the cities of Silver Lake, Cypress Park, Downtown, Chinatown, and Lincoln Heights. Anybody who has questions about this project, feel free to contact me after the meeting. And also, we also have an event on March 20th at the LA Zoo from 6 to 8 p.m. It's family friendly, and everyone is welcome. And that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we're back to item number 1. Madam Clerk, you have statements to make on the record?
And for the record, Mr. President, on item 1, the Department of Building and Safety recommends that items 1B, D, and J be received and filed as the liens have been paid in full. 1C and 1I be continued for 30 days to March 29th. And that items 1A, E, F, G, and H be confirmed at the following reduced amounts. 1A, $2,953.67. 1E, $1,284.56. 1F, $4,371.49. 1G, $984.56. And finally, 1H at $2,483.96. And excuse me, Mr. President, 1D is actually been changed from received and filed to continue for 30 days to March 29th.
Okay, that being the orders, we can open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Thank you. Okay, Herman for general public comment. Is he here? There he is. Hey, Mr. Herman, this is on general public comment.
Writ Mandamus. Who are you to say to me or anyone in the public?
So actually, Mr. Herman, no, Mr. Herman, you're now disrupting the meeting. Please. Go. So, Mr. President, I suggest we ask Mr. Herman to leave this meeting. He's disrupting it. He's refusing to go sit back down.
Mr. Herman, please leave the meeting.
Quietly.
Please leave the meeting quietly.
Okay, so I suggest that Mr. Herman now be ordered removed from the meeting. Mr. Herman,
you didn't follow the rules.
Mr. Herman, Mr. Herman, you're disrupting the meeting. You're arguing with the chair. You shouldn't have been here. Mr. Herman, you've been ordered to removed. Please leave.
Mr. City Attorney, how many times? I think Mr. Harris Dawson is going to ask.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think we're on the same note. This
yes.
makes the third consecutive
Indeed,
meeting that
Mr. Herman
Mr.
should
Herman's
not
been
have.
thrown out.
Mr. Herman should not have been here at all.
Thank you very much. Okay. Madam Clerk, what's next?
Council has motions for posting and referral.
Motions are posted and referred.
The desk is clear.
The desk is clear. Seeing no other action. Any announcements? Any announcements? Seeing none, do we have adjourning motions? Please rise. For announcement, Mr. Blumenthal.
This afternoon, we are doing a celebration of life for Lynn Shaw, my former district director at the West Valley Municipal Building. All are welcome to come.
Thank you very much. Any adjourning motions? On the left side, any adjourning motions? Seeing none on the right, any adjourning motions? Seeing none, the meeting is adjourned till next Tuesday morning. Thank you.
Wilmington and San Pedro have always been the gateway to Catalina since back in the late 1800s. My father, myself, and a friend of mine started Catalina Express along with my brother Tim in 1981. And we came in to actually replace the seaplanes that were at that point going out of service. So what we needed to do was replace that service with fast boats. So we went out, we bought one boat, it was a 50 passenger, and we started out with doing 3 runs a day. Well, about 1 million to 1.2 million people go to and from Catalina on an annual basis. And back in 1981 when we started, I think we carried 3,500 people that year. Both my daughter Amanda and my son Eric, they're all in the business. This building was actually built back in 1966, and it was the seaplane hangar building. They'd take off underneath the Vincent Thomas Bridge. Our goal was really to make it so people felt their trip started when they got here. There's bocce ball courts here located on premises. There's also a putting green. We got fire pits when it's chilly out, and people do seem to feel like they're on their way to Catalina as soon as they walk through the gate. Wilmington used to be the location for the freight service here to the island, and to bring them both onto the same property has been a home run. The Port of Los Angeles has been a real partner in this all the way along. They worked very well with us in trying to come up with a solution for this move. And I think that what we've come up with is one of the best locations we have. When we brought our employees back to this location, we were able to bring 100 employees back this way. Catalina Express employs approximately 325 employees in total, with the vessel crews and administration and ticket sales and the terminal facilities. Avalon Freight Services employs approximately 26 people, with operating the 2 vessels that we have, as well as the warehouse here and on the island. The island is always growing. It's been an exciting part of being not just in passengers, but also in freight now. A normal week of freight going to Catalina Island is 5 days a week, 15 trailers. It's shipping fuel, it's food, it's beverages, it's everything you can imagine that has to go to an island to keep it moving. My favorite hobbies are getting out and going fishing. It's a lot of fun to go out off the island and do some fishing. It's always been known as a fishing paradise. Well, I think the favorite part of Catalina Express for me is working around the water. I've been around the water all my life. We just like to be a big part of this overall Catalina Express family. Our whole team here has worked hard to build what we built. There's no I's here, it's a lot of we's, and we really all enjoy it.
Of the Department of Food and Agriculture for the state of California. And as I said on his first visit, what impresses me is the fact that he's a farmer. Farmer first, then bureaucrat, and nice guy all around anyway, but a farmer. And that's very special today because we are losing our farmers. Family farmers are, in many cases, in many states, a thing of the past. But as secretary, he is concerned about that, and he's concerned for all of us that the food system remains healthy and safe and nutritious. AG, welcome back.
Thank you, Peter. It's good to be here.
Nice to have you here. We had to cut you off in midstream last time because
we
ran out of time. So much to talk about. So now we're back, and I'd like to start again, just if you would bring our viewers back in touch with the state of agriculture in California. What do we grow? How much do we grow? Just from your perspective, what do you think is important?
California has 400 different commodities it grows. It has an enormous amount of diversity in its climate and the kinds of farms that we have. We have big farms, little farms, backyard farms. We're mostly a state of family farmers, and we were asking that question, what about this big corporate image of what goes on with agriculture? California, maybe less than 2% of the farmers would be found on a New York Stock Exchange. The rest of it is our family businesses, family corporations. Now, they might be big, they might be very big, but the farming families are fully engaged in their operations, in their ranches, in their day-to-day management. And they've grown from roadside stands into big companies. And so it's always a struggle for me to ask when is big too big and when is small wonderful. Those questions we ask, I know, about this food supply. But ultimately, whether you're big or small, you got to hope that the production is successful and everybody has a chance to eat.
If the production, since California is
sort of the breadbasket of the world. We feed a lot of people outside of California. But how has our environment been impacted by this pressure to produce so much food?
I think when you look at the last 30 years especially, last 20 years, this state more than others, and I would just focus on the knowledge of what happens when you do make mistakes in the chemical industry, in your farming practices, in erosion and runoff. We learned some of these lessons over the last 10,000 years of salination, where you just have too much salt and you can't grow something anymore, where you have erosion and all your